Hello and welcome. This is Psychic Medium Roberto, and I truly hope you're doing well today. The subject matter is of a mature nature and deals with true crime events. And a disclaimer, all cases are treated as alleged until proven in a court of law. And this is a new reading on Sebastian Rogers. I have subsequently removed my first reading as I believe I made two fatal errors. The first fatal error was looking too narrow. In other words, too narrow of a window of investigation. So I looked ahead of the day of the event and I didn't do enough research, or I didn't observe or meditate on the days leading up, with, of course, the assumption the parents had nothing to do with it, right? So that was the fatal flaw. But of course, I'm still seeing images that I saw in that reading, seeing the house across the road. Maybe it was just a picture that was with him as a memory. I'm not 100% sure. But now there has been a lot of requests to relook at this. And in particular, where can we find Sebastian? So just so everyone is aware, I wasn't ignoring the requests. I have been looking at this or pondering for the past at least 2 weeks. Because mistakes should not happen, but they do happen, of course. But so what I've done now is I've included from February the 22nd all the way up to and including February the 30th, as well as energy flow days if there were February 31 and the 32. And I believe the answer to this puzzle, and let me tell you, it's a little bit complicated. It's not straightforward at all. I believe the key market day that reveals what happened in this situation is actually on February the 22nd. Now, in my first reading, I didn't include that day, but in a few readings that I've done recently, that 22-4, particularly in a crime situation, which unfortunately I believe it is, the 22-4 speaks about a plan. It's a marker for premeditation. So in other words, by the time we start reaching the weekend, there's a plan in place, 22-4, which involves the family, 24-6. 24-6 is the family. And the outcome is not going to be good, 32-5. And that 32-5 speaks about destruction. And now, having learned a few more things about the background of the story, I believe Sebastian was in the process or about to move to his father's side. At the time, I wasn't sure of if there were parents or two parts of parents. So he was in transition to moving to his biological father. right? Now, what is the motive? What I was looking for, what is the motive behind 22:4 for the family destruction? Why? And the 14:5 is the unfortunate answer. 14:5 in the context of Sebastian and abusive adults talks about abuse, unfair punishment. And I believe the concern was when Sebastian goes to his dad, and I saw a recent video where his dad said he kind of picked up something, but his son said he didn't want to go back, but he wouldn't say why. Now, I've been with a partner in a divorce situation, and the son used to come back in that kind of vein as well. He wouldn't talk, or he wouldn't be himself over a period of 1 or 2 days, and then it takes about 3 or 4 days to settle, right? Now, had Sebastian moved over to his father, within time, and I believe it would have been fairly quickly, that Sebastian would have been opening up about what was transpiring in that house against Sebastian. So the 14:5 speaks about abuse. And the abuse is upon in this case, a male, 4, and it's obviously of a child age, like a young age. So in my mind, there was a plan in place for this. And I believe that's why the situation has been so difficult in locating any kind of clue, is because there is premeditation here. And that, let me tell you, that 22:4, I wouldn't be surprised that the moment the news broke that Sebastian is going to stay with his biological father, that is the moment, I would say, the mother started planning or panicking. Probably panicked first and then started making a plan. And there's more evidence to this. I will show it. But that February 22, the start leading up to that weekend, the intentions are clear. And I watched recently I believe it was Court TV, where the father was being interviewed, and they spoke about seeing the footage at the restaurant where the mom and Sebastian had frequented before going home. There's a frame of them walking through the restaurant or something. Now, for me, for whatever reason, kept on pinging on me. Because we can say, in a sense, that according to the local community and the friends and family in the neighborhood and everything around, that weekend was hunky-dory. Even to the point of having a Sunday dinner together. Because if you look at that Sunday, in the middle of the day, you have a 27:9. And that also speaks to premeditation. So for a long time, I was looking, in fact, let me put a blue line or a line there now. I would say clipping 27.9 because the energy will still influence, but I'll put it just underneath. Till, let's say, 6 a.m. because apparently, according to his father, 6 a.m. is when he normally gets woken up to go get ready for school. So that will sit just under the 2, 26, 8, and 8. Research matters. Sometimes it matters before jumping into a case. So we got the 35, 8, 17, 8. So what I was looking for, how and when. So when I start looking deeper, a recent reading that I did revealed the 17-8 as a suffocation. Or if we want to be, I would say, pass due to lack of oxygen to the lungs, 17-8. So obviously there's options here. Does Sebastian suffer from asthma? I mean, my brother suffers from asthma. Does he suffer from asthma? Or could that have caused the breathing difficulties that evening, on the Sunday evening? Of course, the mother keeps talking about a thud at 9 o'clock. Was that Sebastian trying to get to the door? So, high probability of lack of oxygen to the lungs, therefore causing the passing. Or, if it wasn't natural, per se, then smothered. So, preventing oxygen from getting into the lungs. And with that 35-8, that's also negative impact on the human body. So that when we get to the February the 26th, there's that staging. The story, as we know it, was a lie. I was too hasty in my first reading. I was doing too many readings at the time for YouTube. Now, I asked, where is Sebastian? And let me tell you, it's taken me a while to get back into this reading because there's all that energy before, right? And I believe he was buried next to or near to. So this came first. The message came first before I looked at the numbers. And then I confirmed it in the numbers. He was buried next to or near a familiar place, location. He and his family would know. So I would imagine in the area, or at least a space they visited. And it feels like a church or school environment, but I believe it's like a church environment, school environment. It's like a very sacred energy around there, or like clean energy. And then I also saw a ridge of trees, a tree line in the vicinity would be visible. Now, of course, I needed to confirm that in the numbers. And that's why I went way out to February 32 as energy. So I can just say, because obviously the 3 days after the event will always give us the answers, right? So February 28th, and I'll get to why it extended. Because I genuinely believe the current husband of the mother didn't know what happened. Or let's put it this way, obviously was not involved because he wasn't there, but I also only believe she told him later the truth, let's put it that way. But we'll get to that. I believe he would have, I would say by February the 30th, he would have definitely known about the truth of what happened to Sebastian. I would say that. However, February the 28th, so the day starts with the 28-10-1. Arguments, fighting, chaos. 33, female outburst. We got 2 8s in play, aggressive, violent, with the outcome 38-11-2, the unthinkable. Unlawful. Breaking a law. Now, the reason why I believe, and we'll get to the location because this brings us to the location. The February the 30th, where we have the 33 again. So now we're continuing with them, with the 2 adults living in the house where Sebastian was. We have a 32-5, 32-5, which is reflective of the 32-5 on February the 22nd, where I believe the plan was in motion. Perhaps she knew by then, and would need to be verified, that her husband would be leaving town for the day or leaving town for those days, however the situation was. But the 32-5 pings on February the 22nd, where I believe it's revealed what of the plan. The 44 is in line with the 22-4. But in this case, it pertains to large earth mass. Large earth mass. But it also says male outburst. And what precedes it, or what happens after, rather, is the 13-4, which is the message about death. So this is why I believe the husband, by February the 30th, would have known the full story about what happened to Sebastian, but not involved in the actual, obviously. And that 44, 40 with the 4 outcome, with the 4 outcome, tells me earth. There was also a flood of information at the time, and a lot of people were saying water. Now there is a 2 in the February, which which would always allude to water. But when you look at Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I'm not seeing large mass of water. I'm not seeing large mass of water. But I'm certainly seeing more earth. So that when we get to February the 30th, we have that 44 earth. So I believe he is in earth, unfortunately. And I believe the mom is the key central point in the scene. And, I've watched a couple of interviews now with the mom and the husband, the new husband. And I can tell you now, her body language, her choice of words, even Court TV, the analyst there, noted that she was confirming with him what she did on the weekend when he wasn't even there. Do you know what I mean? So mom, unfortunately, at the center. I do believe there is a measure of premeditation planning involved here. This was going to happen as a result of Sebastian moving to his father, because over time Sebastian would have revealed what his mother was doing to him in the home. And I've identified, my intention is always to be, of course, authentic, accurate being important. But I've understood what my failings were when I looked at this the first time. Skipped over it quickly, looked forward, assumed, and didn't give it the attention that it should have received in the first place. So apologies about that. However, having meditated, and this case has become top of mind only because of you guys. I accept my faults and, of course, not to repeat them. But unfortunately, I do believe mom is at the center with that 33 pink in the middle, the unthinkable. And I believe she may have got out of control as well. Enough is enough. And the interviews that I've seen her in, not very good from a body language point of view. So unfortunately, and in fact, I've just been reminded that this case, in a sense, is similar to the Summer Wells situation, where they're getting rid of the kid because the kid can reveal the horrors of what is happening in that house. All right, so I strive to always do my best. And please, let's have your comments. Let's hope there's a speedy recovery process as well as an outcome for the justice of Sebastian Rogers. All right, stay safe, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.